Welcome to Miniatures Rundown. I'm Kevin, and today we're venturing into Aqshy. So, the new GHB is just on the horizon. If you haven't pre-ordered yours now, you probably should. Age of Sigmar is about to get a huge shakeup with this new General's Handbook. Like they tend to do towards the end of their edition cycle for Age of Sigmar, 40k, etc., the last few packs of missions slash battle plans, whatever game system it is, in this case, we're going to talk about Age of Sigmar, tend to really shake things up. And the journey into Aqshy is no different. We are introduced to a brand new Fury and Rage mechanic, where at the start of the game, the player who's going second will get a rage level of 2, and the player going first will get a rage level of 1. Now, that will determine how many Fury dice you get. I think I have those confused, actually, but yeah, where you have a Fury level, and then you get rage dice. But regardless, it's all just punching each other in the gut over and over and over again. And this battle pack really does seem to hit home that everyone's angry and everyone wants to hit each other. And what do I mean by that? For example, what you can do with your rage dice is at the end of the turn, and this is the end of the player turn, you can spend up to 3 rage dice to get a model to make attacks with one of its melee weapons. It doesn't score any criticals, but instead, on a hit roll of a natural 6, it does D3 mortal wounds to everything in combat range with that model. And important to say that it is model, not unit. So, for instance, if you have a unit of steel helms, every steel helm in the unit doesn't get 3 attacks. It's only 1 steel helm in the unit will get those attacks. I'm thinking of things that are really, really nasty in this game. Glockkin, Marathi, Archeon. There are so many things that are going to get an extra attack or extra punch at the end of the turn that are going to be even more dangerous than they were before. I am particularly excited for something like Scarbrand because it kind of takes him back to his previous edition where he did mortal wounds in a aura around him when he got a critical hit. Now I feel like, once again, him being able to strike down with Carnage at the end of the turn after he's done everything else, on top of, you can even, because the sequencing at the end of the turn is yours is determined, you can power through if you want. Like, I really think that there is some real strength in this, and monsters are going to be number 1 again in the meta. Of course, that also means that people are going to be building to kill monsters. And me, as a Karajan's Overlord player, I don't have monsters. I don't even have that good of a melee beat stick. But what I do have is a lot of guns. And one of the things that plays into is that there's a lot less obscuring in this particular General's Handbook. Places of power are no longer obscuring, and you can no longer use places of power to make objectives or terrain obscuring. That is a huge change. In the previous edition, in Gairan, the places of power were obscuring terrain features, which meant you could hull around them, or in some cases, if they were low enough, you could hide on them and avoid enemy fire. Now, the fire lanes are a bit more open, and so armies such as mine are, or like say Cities of Sigmar, or anyone who's playing a candidate cog fort, which is going to be a few people, will have a really good time and have a easier time finding targets. Now, that's not to say that melee is dead. In fact, as I just stated before with the Rage and Fury mechanics, melee is still very much alive. The other thing that you can do with your rage dice is you can use them to prevent damage on a 3+. Now, there's some significant downsides to this. If you use that, and it would happen after ward saves, so you can even use it as a ward on top of a ward. Now, you're limited to 3, and when you use it, it reduces your fury level by the amount of dice that you rolled to a maximum of 3. Now, the fury level, of course, determines how many rage dice you get per battle round. I think that this is one of those abilities that you're going to use in a clutch moment when you need to save a key unit, because denying yourself future rage dice is going to be putting yourself on a massive back foot going into future battle rounds. So it's really going to be very careful in how you choose to use this. The battle plans, as is tradition with Age of Sigmar, are crazy. They'll have the same round objectives that previous GHB had, and different symbols. But you could get away with using the same ones. I think the new ones look cool though. There is one interesting thing about them is that there is a symbol, objective marker that is called the Golden Lion, and it's red. I didn't design it. Don't blame me. But right to GW. Let them know that's stupid. The other thing that's really great about the new battle plans is how they encourage interaction with your opponent. So many of them seem to center around more on going forth and taking your opponent's territory or objectives, and less on holding back and castling within your own territory, which was kind of a big thing when we were in Gairan with you really got a lot of points for just holding one and holding one other objective. These battle plans focus a lot more on going forth and interacting with your opponent, which I think is overall good for the game. There are also some insane twists in some of these battle plans. There is one where terrain literally explodes. There's another where there are hidden tunnels from one terrain feature to another that allow passage, and the underdog can switch them around. There are clouds of ash that either high up or low to the ground. And when they're low to the ground, no man's land cannot be entered, teleported, or teleported into, which is wild. There are so many armies, and I'm looking at myself, once again, for Carriage and Overlords, not being able to place models is a huge detriment to my army. So that battle plan, I'm going to have to really carefully consider my tactics for that one. As far as the battle tactics, considering battle tactics as a game mechanic themselves, they really do focus on a lot of the similar things that we've seen in previous battle tactics, but a lot of them have kind of a twist on them. For instance, there is a battle tactic that focuses kind of like a game of cops and robbers, where you will pick a unit to be the offender and one to be the pursuer, and it centers around the interaction between those types of units. Another that I think is really kind of going to be auto take is Heroes of the Parch, which is it kind of just you doing the things that you do when you play Warhammer. Like the very first step of it, for instance, you kill a unit that was in combat with one of your units, and a unit that was in combat with it at the end charged. That's pretty basic Warhammer 101. If you're not doing that, what game are you playing? But that aside, I think the battle tactics do shake things up quite a bit. Even if there was one battle tactics card that feels very auto take, I think the rest of them really do focus on different aspects of ways you can play the game, from mobility to defense to attacking to even one that requires you to sacrifice one of your own units, which I think is really interesting and plays into some armies who have a lot of disposable units. I'm looking at Skaven, for instance, or Hellsmiths of Heshut with the Hobgrots, or Cruel Boys with Hobgrots. Poor Hobgrots, and they're just getting sacrificed. But regardless of that, there is so much that I think that is really flavorful. And this very much speaks to an end of an edition. Like, this is for people to get the most out of their armies and to get the most out of playing with different mechanics and seeing different sides of the game that were not explored before. I'm really excited for this General's Handbook. Even though I consider myself primarily a narrative player, I do really like what the General's Handbooks have been doing for Age of Sigmar. I feel like the battle plans are really flavorful. I feel like all of the mechanics that they introduce with the battle tactics and everything does very much feel like they're giving your army a personality. So, in most cases, I mean, of course, no game is perfect, and there are some that definitely go outside of those boundaries. But in many cases, I feel like the General's Handbooks have done a really great job. And I feel like this one is doing an exceptional job of really bringing character into the game. So those are the things that I'm excited for in the upcoming General's Handbook. What do you think? What are you excited for? What armies are you looking forward to playing and playing against in Aqshy? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like this content and want to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to check out our Patreon down below. Every dollar helps, and we really sincerely appreciate it. Thank you very much, and happy gaming.